Hi everyone, so I'm Isabel Hallam. I'm the Programme Director for the MSc Psychology at the University of Exeter, the online programme. Um, and I'm going to talk to you today about how we are trying to foster a bit more belonging in our online students and perhaps even the notion of mattering, which I am a big fan of. So a bit of context, about 300 students. It's a fully asynchronistic programme, so there's no live content, which is how we ended up with personal tutors. So when the programme started, the students were offered student support advisors who were professional services members of staff. But the students, we got quite a lot of feedback that they wanted personal academic tutors. And so we introduced them in 24-25 last year. And this is some of the feedback that students had given us in the lead up to us introducing academic tutors. They wanted to speak to somebody who was could help them with psychology academic. They wanted to have more synchronistic activity. They wanted more interaction with peers and academics. And as you will see, these are all kind of ideas that allude to the notion of belonging. So belonging and mattering, it's become a really kind of like a ubiquitous narrative across the HE sector, and belonging particularly, but it's also a little bit of a nebulous kind of idea, but it is often linked to positive student engagement and outcomes. But for online students, it's quite a unique difference because they don't necessarily want to feel part of their university because they're not there. They get their belonging needs from lots of other sort of parts of their life. So we were trying to find a way in which belonging and mattering worked for these asynchronous students. And then conversely, mattering is the idea of perceiving oneself to be significant to others. And we felt that this was actually more what the students were talking about. They wanted to feel that they were important to somebody, to an academic, not necessarily that they were part of the University of Exeter and that they had all that kind of university type stuff. So there is some research about what online students want. They want some discussion, opportunities to discuss subject matter, to cooperate in learning activities, to interact with others, to have active learning kind of ideas, to feel represented in the curriculum. And we felt this was particularly important for our asynchronous online students. They're all over the world, so they have a huge amount of kind of diversity within the student population. And there is also quite a lot of evidence that older students are much more active in online learning than our younger students are. Perhaps older people are more confident to just put their ideas out there on kind of forums and stuff. And they want to feel supported, valued, etc. And that connection is sort of involved in both a personal connection, but also sort of pedagogical decisions. So how does the role of personal tutors fit in with this? This belonging framework, which I've adapted from Cook and Lowe's one, which is just from, in fact, it's a new book. It's very good. I can highly recommend it. It's been on my desk ever since it arrived. And they talk about the belonging framework is made up of proximity, knowing, and mattering, and that you've got to have all of these aspects to be able to have that sense of belonging. So proximity is about the availability of consistent support. Knowing's about the students actually just know what they're meant to be doing and having that consistent, clear information and it being available and close to them. And then mattering's about relationships and the quality of those relationships. So what have we done? So we introduced the academic personal tutors, the ATPs, last year. The student feedback was that very few of them were turning up to group tutorials, so that actually they didn't get that community that they were looking for because they couldn't get the right times because the students are all over the world. But they were getting good connections with their tutors. And their tutor feedback was, well, low attendance becomes frustrating and it's just not particularly good use of our resource. So this year we're introducing what we're calling assemblies, partly because I'm a teacher from schools and I can't think of another word for bringing lots of people together at the same time. But so that means the whole cohort is coming together rather than being in a tutor group of maybe 15 or 20 students. So we bring the whole cohort together for didactic kind of introduction and then breakout rooms for more discussion, and then they continue to have their one-to-one. So we're going to do both models this year and see how they were. Evaluation is what I'm trying to work out how we evaluate this. I mean, what is the question that students, how do you conceptualize a question around, does this work for you? And there we are, that's me done.